Hey guys, welcome back. This is Ruby tutorial number 16, part 2. We are building a Chrono Trigger battle system, which is going to be very similar to the way and everything that you would expect out of the Chrono Trigger system. So hopefully we can teach you all something in the process, and well, in the same time, I'm positive I'm filling a request for someone out there, since I know that there's been a lot of people requesting a Chrono Trigger one, but I haven't seen anyone ever complete one. So anyways, just to throw that on out there, let's go ahead and get started. Where we left this was that we were building the CT system so that we could have active time during our battle, and then whether or not we need to have wait for when you actually finish getting to your turn and you're waiting to take your action, etc. So anyways, let's go ahead and continue. So the last part, we built our which events should be handled and pulled into the battle system effectively, and then we stopped input from the player so that they couldn't continuously move around, and then we set the value inside of the event. So the last part that we actually need to do is to finish setting up the enemies. Now I'm wondering if reset CT is really the method I want to call it, simply because CT is not always going to be well, CT is what we're explaining it to be here, but I'm wondering if maybe we just want to create one method that in turn calls a set of methods, rather. But so we also need to go back through and we need to say, all right, you're now in battle to these objects, so that they can load up their battle sprite versus their map sprite. While they might be very similar, there are additional frames and so on that you have when you're battling when you might not have when you're just browsing the map. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we will also set a flag for the events to say, by the way, you now also have this, or you're now in battle. So what we'll do is we'll now come up here and just say let's see, finish setup events. Oops. And then this method will go through each of the battlers, and it will in battle, and then we will create a method for them called in battle. Like that. Alright, so now they're in battle, and if you passed it in battle and then parentheses false, then it would tell them that they are no longer in battle. And then you could set them to, be dead or, whatnot, so that you could actually remove them from battle effectively. Alright, so now let's look at our options here. We have got we've got our person now. They've now got a flag saying that they're in battle, but what exactly does that do? What I was thinking that would do would be to change how the name is derived, so to determine what graphic is used. So what we also need for the events is a bit of what pose it's in. So what we need to do is we need to add a posing system as well. So if value equals true, make sure you use two equal signs, because otherwise it'll just set itself to that. And then so if the value is true, as in we're starting battle, then reset or set up let's just set pose equal to 0. So pose 0 is going to be just the wait pose, and then from there you can determine exactly, how many poses you want to do, etc. So we're just going to set a value for them called pose, and now let's go ahead and look at how they determine the name of the event. I think this one here just looks at the name, so it doesn't. And then game character. Although, actually it's going to use character name, I believe is it. And that's set graphic, that's character name. There's got to be a method for it. Let's search def. Maybe not. Let's check here. This is a reader. Okay, so here's our problem here. This is looking for a character name. That's always going to be a file name. What we're going to do is we're going to actually change this to be a method now, so that we can actually say, by the way, I know the character name is this, but tack this onto the end of it so that you can effectively say, I'm in battle, I'm waiting, I'm attacking, I'm swinging, I'm, casting magic, etc. All of that information is stuff that we can have now. So what we'll do is we'll come back here and we'll go ahead and say class game character, and then we are going to, let's see, game character, did it have a subclass? It did not. Okay, so game character, and we're going to say def character name, and so this here will use the character name. And then, so that's what it would normally do. So we'll go ahead and say game tent.inBattle equals true. Then it'll follow through this other method, but if not, or better yet, you can do it this way. You can say that. And then here you can modify the name. So you can go ahead and say, name equals name plus an underscore, and then we go ahead and put plus wait, and then that will be if pose equals 0. Okay, and then you can do the same thing, repeat. And then this one will perhaps be attack. And then we can do one for walk. Whatever you want here, etc. So basically you've got your list of poses. Each one of the poses determines what animation is returned. So being that the animation is always going to return a underscore wait, we need to go and take one of our monsters here, and we need to take his graphic file under characters, which is monster, and let's just make sure that's the right one. So we're going to export that, and we're going to export that into the characters directory with a underscore wait. Okay, so when he goes over there, then he'll still be waiting in the exact same way. Okay? And then if you wanted to, you could create an attack and a walk. We'll get to those later, but for now I'm just going to comment those out until we actually get far enough that we actually start to use other graphic files. In which case we could actually swap them to say, or to show the test that it's working accurately. But all of the actual, animation and showing of that is always going to fall straight back to the fact that the animation system that's used as default is going to remain intact and be used for the battle system as well. So if you wanted to have one that has extended animations, there is a extended animation script out there. I believe Phoenix Fire wrote it. on the VX forums to make it so that you could have a 7-frame animation or a 20-frame or a 2-frame, you know, whatever you wanted there. And so what you'll need to do is go out there and grab that script if that's what you'd like to use, and implement that, and then just make sure that that name is the same throughout. So anyways, the character name is going to generally imply that, but if your weight is always going to be, say, you know, 5 frames, and the first underscore determines which is 1, then what you would do is you'd do an underscore 3 frames, and, you know, something along those lines, just so that you got an idea there. So there's a couple of different ways of setting that up, but I would actually look at the documentation of that particular script before deciding exactly how you're going to do that. But that would be highly recommended because it actually makes the process of setting this up considerably easier for longer animations or shorter animations. So let's go ahead and proceed. So we say we're in battle, we go ahead and have that return our wait pose, in which case our character image will then change to the wait pose, and then we can specify whether we want them to be attacking, etc. So let's go back up here now. So we set up our battle. We now need to define our windows. What's going to happen during the battle, who's going to go first, etc. So give me just a second here. And I'm back. Sorry, it was like an hour delay there. But good thing you didn't see it. Anyways, so as we were speaking, so here we finished up saying that our character name setting what's going to be their name and be returned to the sprite, which is then going to automatically update and work accordingly according to direction, etc. So we're not going to worry about any of that. All we're going to do is change its name, and that's it. That way we don't have to deal with any incompatibilities, etc. So now we've got our CT set, we've got our name and image changing, we've stopped the player input, so now what we need to do is modify, because our battle is essentially set up now. I mean, granted, there are still windows and whatnot that we haven't defined yet, but our entire point of all that was to set up our battle. So our battle is now set up. So let's go ahead and jump to the next part. Our next part is setting up our natural phases. If we look back at the base battle system, they have this update routine here, which says go through and update your image, or update your input, your graphics, update your windows, etc. Then it says update the information viewport, which in turn would update the character input windows. It would show those things. Then it would also then go through and check whether the message window was visible, etc. Now if the game message was not visible, then it would say, it would determine whether or not you could win, and then it would say, am I supposed to change scenes to go someplace else? And then here was your user input section. And then if it was not in the user input section, then it must have been during a process action. Process action is the base method for, you know, just saying, here's what to do next. You know, so it would go through that and determine. So if we just take a quick look at process action here. So it goes through and determines whether or not who's going to go next, etc. So here you've got your set next active battler. This is going to be probably the most important part, which is the determine who's next and then go with that. Now we can change it to be entirely active, or we can actually use the exact same method that they use for set next active. And in which case, if we take a look at the method here, it would go through and determine which battler was, if they're forcing their action. Otherwise, then it would set the active battler to the next action battler, and then it would just return nothing if there was no battler and if there was no index. If those were situations that it would hit, then it would head off and do other things. So what we need to do is just look and let's see, it is show action, update action. I gotta jump back up to the top and re-go through it again because I already forgot the name of it. Alright, it was process action. Oh, def. Alright, so let's see here. It would then go through and determine whether or not you could do this. Turn end was the method it would actually call, and then it would just go and set all these variables back out and reset. And then start the party command selection, which in turn brought back up the user input, and then it would just proceed continuously through that loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify and create our own process action, or update method really. So the update method for scene map is going to take place. Now once we're inside of here, now we're going to create our own little sub update. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a loop, and then inside of this loop we're going to say while in battle, then update basic, and let's see, what else do we want in that? Let's look at just the generic update up here. Can't be far off. It probably is. Process battle event, update basic, graphic input, blah. All of that same stuff exists in scene map, which is actually where we're going to be playing. So update basic is graphics input game map update, which in turn I believe updates all the events. So we need to possibly disable that. And it says update scroll, update events, vehicles, parallax. Update events is probably where we want to take a quick look. And this one here just says go through each of the events and update. So that's actually a problem though, because you see if the events keep on updating and this other scene isn't finished yet, then they'll actually proceed even though we've stopped the scene. So we need to actually stop the updating of events. So we're going to need to update this method. That was part of game map, which has no inheritance. So we're just going to come down here, class game map, and that's the method we're going to modify. We're going to alias game map update events disable update events. So this is the new name for it, and this is the existing name for it. So we then say disable if game temp dot in battle. So, and we want to say if not in battle, then go through and update the events. And because we're going to do all the updating of events manually via our event acquisition up here. So we've got that. We've already disabled our events so that they don't keep on processing. And we pulled in each of these and assigned an actor and an enemy to them, or at least an index to them. And then we probably need to verify how many enemies there are in a troop and make sure that we only assign up to that number of them. And that's probably, but we can take care of that later actually, so that's not too important. Well, then again though, we probably do want to take care of that before we finish showing battle, because if there's someone who's already dead or something along those lines, then you certainly don't want to have them out there. and we don't want to do that also if they're already erased from the map, as in they've already been fought, or something along those lines. Let's see. Finish setup events, which just said in battle, and let's see, what we need to do is if battler dot erased. I think that's the method for it. It is not. Let's go see if we can find out the name of that event. It's not an event, but erase. Erased is the value, and it does not look like it's going to be visible, so we actually need to expose it. So we just need to see whether or not it's actually out there. And let's see, I believe we've already got one. Attribute breeder. Oops. Erased. Okay, so now we'll be able to check whether they have been erased. So then what we'll do is we'll come back up here, battler.erased, and then we want to say if they have not been, or you could, so that is the same as saying if equal to false. So up to you there. So if it's equal to true, they'll just be skipped, and in which case they will not be called into battle, and if they're not in battle, then they won't be considered for the update routine. So let's see. So back here we've got our update basic, and then within that we're also going to call our update battle. Well, yeah, we'll just do update battle phase 0. Update. So what we need to do is we actually need to set up a phase. Battle phase equals 0. And then what we do is we do a case battle. You know what? Let's just say update battle. We'll separate that into a different routine because then we don't clutter that up. We'll put it down here. Update battle, and then here we're going to look at battle phase. Case when 0. And then this is going to be, so phase 0 will be the prepare battle, or the everyone go to their positions. Now unfortunately I don't have any Chrono Trigger videos available right now to actually show you how it happens, but what they would do is you would ask that they go to position. Okay? When 1 is I've gotten to the position, and pull swords. Okay, and or battle ready. Alright, and actually that was done before we even started battle, so we don't need to worry about that. So we say we go to the position, we are then ready for battle, and then at stage 2, this is probably where we are going to start out the party selection. Actor selection, and or actor action select, and then here you'll probably have the process action. So this will be where the actor turn complete, or let's just say process action. Alright. So here's our phases of battle. Actually we need some for battle completion. And and then as part of that would be the treasure giveaway, gold accumulation, etc. All of that stuff's going to come in to play right here. And then final would be, well, I can't think of anything else, so that's actually where we would finish. And then what we also need to do is hide the battle or the game player, so we need to hide them off of the screen. Well, maybe not, I don't know. Anyways, we'll play with that anyways. So this is our update battle. It's going to process these. Process action will be all AI. So I guess within this you could create steps. So you could say battle step equals, or case actually, case battle step, and then you could say when one, when blah, etc. You're welcome to play around with that however you'd like in order to make that work however you'd like, in order to separate that to make life that much easier. So here we can you can separate that out a little bit more. So say step battle step, not a capital because then it's a constant, battle step 1, and then these are just methods that execute and so on. So we just go ahead and we create a step 3. What you could do is you could say, you know, select battler, and then this one here is the, you know, run animations, deliver damage, and then here you could do your, you know, pop damage, battle step 4. This could be your pop damage, and or, you know, so on. So we'll just go ahead and leave this as a skeleton for right now. We'll start with our go-to position and then we'll work our way through it. So we are going to say update go-to position, and then we will start that method down here. We'll say all at position, and then that will be equal to false, and then what we'll do is we'll ask that it, or actually we'll set it to true, and then what we'll do is we'll cycle through each of the actors and make sure that they get to their positions, and then as soon as they get to their position, then we will then set that to false as soon as they've all been verified at their position. Or I'm sorry, if one of them is not at their position, we'll set it to false, in which case if they are at their position, no one will report that they're not, in which case it will proceed as that they are all at their position, and then it will proceed to the next step. So if all at pause equals true, then battle phase equals 1. Go to position code, and we'll go over that in just a moment. We are at 28 minutes, so I'm going to actually cut this one here for right now. We'll come back in a few moments and we'll continue this tutorial in just a moment. See ya.